But the Lee family was instrumental in all of that support, which was instrumental in us eventually winning the war.
Yeah, so I think it's just really exciting because we've got. Um, I think Benjamin Franklin is very well known for his ambassadorship through France and with others, but to have Arthur Lee and William Lee there as well, um, in one way. So William is in. He
Well,
was
they
in.
were first.
Yeah,
They were well, yeah, yeah. Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin, what they did abroad came later, but at that pivotal point, I mean, picture it. It's June,
mhm.
right? This looks like this is going to be happening, and Arthur and William were over there doing things to support. For instance, the Battle of Concord, the Battle of Lexington. They were instrumental in shaping opinion over in England about that. There were people in England that thought that yeah, this is a good thing, and they helped shape that. And then they went abroad and did the work they did. So that's just part of that Lee family history that's sort of lost, which is kind of why we're here, right, for this
Yeah.
podcast. Sort of like make people aware of all of this, and all this really came out of Stratford Hall, which you can still visit today. It's amazing how that's still possible.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Strat.
I was
Yep.
just there last year at this time, and it's been restored, and it is the Mount Vernon. I would say is a Mount Vernon and Stratford Hall, Monticello. I'm forgetting one or two, but that's it. It's a pretty short list of houses that represent families that were so instrumental in in the revolution and in the founding of this country. And Stratford Hall has been amazingly restored, and the history there is deep, and you really get a sense for the Lee family and what they meant to the country both before and after the revolution.
Well, that's exactly. I put my. I'm trying to think. So Richard Henry Lee is, I think, is a really interesting character because he's extremely active. So
Yes.
uh, he's in the House of Burgesses really early on in his. I don't want to say his childhood, but really early on in his career. And the House of Burgesses, the way that the governments work, just for those who don't know, the way that the government works is there's each state has its own legislative body. So it's true that the states create the federal government, not the other way around. It's not governments that create governments. It's the state that creates the states create governments, and people create their states. And so we know that again, God makes families, families make nations. Families create the counties that we're in, a lot of the borders that we have between states. Those are all a lot of them are religious borders, because I tithe differently, I tax differently. The way that laws work on in your personal life is different from state to state. But so Richard Henry Lee is young. He's in the House of Burgesses. He has he has some moments where he's able to speak up and have kind of like uh, uh, and then he goes through the House of Burgesses, and then he's into the Continental Congress, right? And he's
Well,
discussing.
even before that, 1765, he proposed the first formal resolution against British taxation.